Okay, today we're going to show how to make these growing buckets that I used for years and years. We actually had very good luck growing any kind of tomatoes, peppers. I even grew some broccoli, but it's meant more for like the peppers and tomatoes. This thing will work great. I suppose you could actually grow cucumbers. You could grow some green beans and stuff up on a trellis. It's not limited to just tomatoes and peppers, but that's what we used it for. I've made about 30 of these buckets or so over the years, and they're really simple. You only need a few tools. But let me explain the basic concept. You need two buckets. See how that's a second? There's a second one that's inside the first one, and it can be any color. Don't worry about people say you can't grow things in colored buckets. They're full of it. They don't know any better. I got tons of pictures to show everything that we've grown over the years. It's fantastic. It works great. But the whole idea is the bottom bucket becomes a reservoir. And there's only one thing you do to the bottom bucket, and that's put 4 holes in here. And I used for Home Depot buckets, that bottom lettering, the top of that is the perfect distance. Let me get a measurement real quick to see what that is as far as inches. Okay, so that's about 3.5 inches, but I put 4 holes. You rotate around, and there's 4 holes in this bucket. Might be 3, but anyways, the whole idea is you don't want the bottom bucket reservoir to be too full of water. You want it to be just enough to hold it so that the roots aren't saturated, and so we've decided that that distance is about right. The other bucket, let me go and pull this out. The other bucket is where all the magic is. So you'll notice there's a 2-foot PVC pipe that goes all the way from the top of the bucket down through the bottom. And then there's 2 holes here done with 1/4 inch that go through that you put a tie wrap on that holds this PVC pipe in place. And then the bottom, let me pull this out. We have basically a Dixie cup. This is another brand, but any kind of plastic cup that's this is probably like 16 ounces or something, but you put 4 slits in this cup all the way around, and then you fill this with soil, you compact it in, and then on the bottom, the bottom is where all the work is. So you have a fairly large hole that you put in the middle, and you use one of these hole saws. You get these at Home Depot and Lowe's, and this is 3.5 inches, so you'll notice that that cuts that perfectly. So just center it. In fact, usually there's a mark right in the middle of the bucket that you can center it, and you use these hole saws. Use these kind of actually, it may not be this one. This kind here, these hole saws actually spin on here, and so you can change the bits out to different sizes. So this happens to be the hole for 1 3/8. That's for the PVC pipe, which is a 1 inch inside diameter pipe. And then the other thing on the PVC pipe is the part that goes into the bucket, excuse me, cut a little angle, because you don't want that to sit flat on the bottom of the bucket where the water can't get through. And then all these holes are just 1/4 inch drill bits. You just take 1/4 inch drill bit and drill a whole bunch of holes so that the roots can reach down through. But this other thing is a wicking cup, and that's the thing that's going to allow the water to wick up through the soil and into where the plant roots are. So it's really simple. Hopefully I explained that well. You can use like a little utility knife with a razor for cutting these Dixie cups, or you can use your pocket knife. The razor knife is probably a little safer because it's super sharp, and a dull knife will cut you worse. These are the zip ties. You can get these at Home Depot. You can get them Harbor Freight. You get them Lowe's, everywhere, but get the black ones because they hold up better in the sun. They don't get as brittle. And then you're going to need a tape measure. But, you know, honestly, that's about all there is. There's a very small number, and then you need a drill to be able to drill these things. But hopefully everyone has a drill. And then the whole thing just goes back together again and put together. Oh boy. This thing is, the wicking cup goes down in through there like that. Now, let me explain this this tube here. We had a funnel, or you could just stick the hose right in there, and you just fill it up until you start seeing the water come out the holes. And depending on, if your plants are wilting, you may have to put some water in on the soil itself, but we typically just watered through the tube. Now, in the summer when it's super duper hot, we actually I improved by adding a drip irrigation system. And I found these battery operated timers you can get at the big box stores that you hook right onto your hose connection that comes out of your house, and then you hook your hose to that and you set a timer. So like in the middle of the day when it's super hot, you would have the thing come on and run for an hour so that your plants don't get hurt by just too much heat. It would cool everything down and worked great. So we did, because of the tomato, especially the heritage tomato plants that grew up so big, we would put trellises around my buckets and train the plants to grow up onto the trellises. So that's the other thing. So anyways, any bucket, get it from Home Depot, get it from Lowe's, get it from Tractor Supply, whatever. Just try to find the cheapest ones. You need 2 per system, and I typically built like 10 at a time, and it would take you maybe 2 hours tops. It's not that long. The PVC pipe, you buy those in 10-foot lengths, so that means you'd get 5 pieces of pipe per length, and so if you want to make 10 buckets, you're going to need 2 10-foot pieces of the PVC pipe. And just remember to cut the angle on the bottom of the pipe, because that helps with the water to be able to get in. Anyways, that's all there is to this. This is about as simple as it gets. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you're successful. I'm going to try to add a couple pictures right at the in the beginning of this to show you, what we grew if I can find them. But I'm sure I've got lots of pictures about this. All right. I hope everybody's treating you well. God bless. Hey everyone. One of the subscribers noticed that I had these buckets setting outside my greenhouse, and I wanted to show this system that I've actually been using for years. It isn't until the last 2 years that I've been able to put in raised beds, because I got a lot more land now, and I haven't even been using these buckets, but I wanted to show the variety of things you can plant in here. Now, the first version, I actually used a plastic bag. I cut it up into pieces, and I put plastic over the top to try to keep down the water evaporation. But I ended up moving away from that and just putting mulch in there, and it seemed to work a lot better. But that's a broccoli in the front, and that might be a pepper or something. It looks like I got some lettuce or something the other one. But when I first started, I tried all kinds of different things. Yeah, here's some lettuce, and you can see a tomato plant in the back. There's a nice pepper. Notice the trellises too that I put in. And there were the various types of peppers that I pulled out of this thing. They were so tasty. There's the broccoli with the head on the top. There's tomatoes. A whole bunch of peppers. Now this is when I moved up and got rid of the plastic. That was getting to be kind of a pain, and I added a drip irrigation system, and that really seemed to help a lot. Now there's it's like a pressure regulator. That's what I'm showing here, that you put on the end of the hose that limits the amount of pressure going to these drip irrigation system. And I think I had maybe about 10 buckets here. And you see on the end, it's very simple. They've got this little thing that you pinch the end, and this kind of clamps it and keeps it from leaking. Yeah, there's a view of all the buckets. Now, one of my houses in Georgia, I actually built a foundation, and I put a 1,500-gallon tank, set it on here, and we hooked it up to the rain catchment. And I built a greenhouse, and I just used cinder blocks and landscaping timbers to make like a shelving unit in here. But these were retaining wall blocks running around the outside, and then we filled it with large gravel and put like a little wood walkway down the middle. And then we set up our bucket system. And again, this would be real simple to do using the drip irrigation system as well. But that was kind of a neat thing to do. All right, so anyways, I hope that will help you see different ways you can use these buckets. I had some other pictures. I'm just having a hard time finding because, again, I've been using this for years. But I had these humongous tomato plants when they were just fully growing. But all I could find was like some of the earlier periods of time when I was growing these things. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope everybody's treating you well. God bless.